Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy Heroes. This is Grand Arena, the first match of Week 2, Season 37. We begin this one in Kyber 2 after going 3-0 last week, and I am pretty happy. We have a nice buffer here in Kyber 2, and we're going to try and keep that streak going as we see all of that work that we've done pay off and bringing my 3GL roster to a point where it can once again be competitive in Kyber 2. And we begin with a quick recap on how this week went. We had a 6GL opponent, two 6GL's opponents, and this opponent here, SK, he was a 3GL player. He's another crazy guy like me. This match is worth going back and checking out because his defense was fantastic. It has been stopping most everyone. Nobody gets a full clear up against this guy, so I felt great about fighting a way through and planning my strategy out in a way that I was able to execute. I need a little bit of luck, but things worked out. There's a lot that can be learned from how he played his defense. It's one way that I think players who have fewer options can find ways to compete. But we begin with the round one opponent, Super Bowl. He was one of the 6GL players, and he had what I think was the best roster in that bracket. Great mods, good on datacrons, all the GLs except for Lord Vader, because I think he had Jabba. Anyway, so JMK'd my Jabba, Sith Eternal Emperor up against Malgus. Most of the stuff was straightforward. Like, he had a very strong performance up against my squads. He got tripped up by my Qui-Gon. I think he gets tripped up one more time, but that's it. Most of my defense is a little weak. I'd love to change it out. His Traya loses to my Mon Mothma, but he doesn't have the Traya Ami. I think there's only 3 players with the Traya Omicron. I don't know why people aren't putting that on. It is still excellent. It wasn't nerfed. It got a qualification up against GLs. Like, that's not a big deal. And as we go through here, he raid my Maul, SLKR Raddus, JML'd my CLS. And then you can see here, Fleet is where he gets tripped up. But you can see that he did the Ahsoka lineup. That's not as good in mirrors, which is, I think, part of the reason why I was able to get a hold. What I'm more surprised by was that he wasn't able to clear it with his Finalizer and Raddus, partly because they're not Finalizer and Raddus fleets like mine are, where I've got Gear 11 pilots. He has the GLs. So these are relict pilots he's got going on these things. There's a little preloaded turn meter, but I still think there was a way forward for him. Now, John Davis here, another 6GL player, had the second best roster in that bracket, and he had less issues, but my defense got a few more holds, which gave me a good amount of wiggle room. JMK'd the Jabba, Wampa, his Darth Revan being tripped up by my Qui-Gon. Really impressed with my Qui-Gon team. It does trip up people fairly often. He did weaken his Darth Revan, though, by putting in HK and Sith Marauder. I think what happens is opponents see that Ki-Adi-Mundi and they think the team is going to be soft. And Ki-Adi-Mundi it works great on that squad. He's very annoying. The taunt makes it harder to go after Anakin. And I did put that taunt Omega on, even though for a long time I had left it off. Gas falling to Malgus. And that happens. It's why I sometimes don't like to even I use the gas as my go-to counter usually, but I don't like it as much, or at least I don't feel good about it, because mine's failed too. And at least with my roster, when my gas fails, sometimes that puts me in a pretty compromised position for the rest of my attacks. He cleans it up with Rey, which was probably smart. Sometimes you just want to get through them, but maybe starting off with Rey would have been better, especially because I'm only 3 GLs. He could afford to use a GL. He went very heavy on offense. I only think I went up against 2 GLs on defense, so he had 4 for offense. The rest of this is straightforward. JKR, though, losing to Grievous. Weird comp, though, with Kyle Katarn. Like, he's just better with Mon Mothma. Yeah, most of that's straightforward, and no issues with fleets. Now, SK here, he had a great defense. And actually, we'll take a glance at it because he doesn't full clear me. He gets stopped out. And I think part of the reason he stalls out is because he didn't have access to some counters that I use because he put them on defense. And those counters, there are certain teams when you lose to them, it's important to have other options to get through them. I also think he may have not been familiar with some counters, but things like if your Malgus counter fails or one of your GL counters fail, you need to make sure that you can clean it up. And I don't think he had the cleanup teams available. So here is my defense, or my attack. My attack's up against his defense. So his defense here was Lord Vader, Malgus, Starkiller, Darth Revan, so all strong teams. Sano was one of the weaker teams. This Bastila JML team is a major nuisance. It stops Grand Inquisitor, and I think that is part of the reason why we're starting to see a little resurgence on it. I purposefully took 2 teams up against it because John Davis messed me up with it the previous match. See, Raddus, a good Iden, JKL. I had to go pretty deep. This Nihilist lead team, I took my JML up against it and timed out. That was a major pain. And it's one of those things where that Omicron is still good up against a GL. It's still worth putting on. It doesn't do all of the same things. It still does enough. Maul with Savage, I didn't have issues with it, but from his Grand Arena history, a lot of people were having issues with this team. I just know how to deal with it at this point. This is my go-to approach to it. I've been tripped up by it myself in the past. Mon Mothma, Dash, Nute, Zam. The rest of these I didn't have too much issue with, but here is how he did up against my defense. Telzine up against Grievous. That's Night Sisters are a fantastic 5v5 counter. You don't see me use them in 3v3 for a reason. It's because they just don't work in the same ways. He put 2 GLs on defense, so he only had 1 left for offense, which is another way that our plays differ. So he used his C up against Jabba, made some progress, but he was in a position where he had to clean that up. My Qui-Gon once again getting holds, this time up against Bad Batch. His gas falling to my Malgus, and you can see with the squads that are getting holds, he's now getting to a point where he has to resort to high-level counters, which is going to cause some problems later. He did not have the Omicron on Dr. Aphra. I think that's part of the reason why, or the Datagron, why he didn't use her at the start and used her instead as a cleanup, whereas that's a safe counter with the Omicron and the Datagron. You could practically auto it. It's kind of idiot proof. But what ultimately happens is he can clear the fleets, but the bottom 2 territories he could not clear because Malgus getting holds, Jabba getting holds, Qui-Gon getting holds. He just ended up eating up a lot of his higher level squads without the cleanup options. Now, we spent a little bit more time on the recap because I thought it was particularly interesting. We're going to try and go a little faster through the rest of this because of that. I don't like these openings getting too long, but the first one of the week usually is a little bit longer. Now, this bracket is much harder looking at the stats. Everybody is a 6 or 7 GL player. Actually, everyone's 7 GL player, except there's 2 of them are 6, and I am the outlier at 3. Nobody is egregiously weak at Omicrons. My opponent has 17. Most players in the 14. Actually, there are 2 outliers with 10 Omis, which is light these days. That right around my number is kind of the average. I might usually have 1 more or 2 more than the Kyber 3 players, but 14 is kind of what we're seeing. Now, relic units, I am always going to be shallow because of how I prioritize projects. I'd rather have Dr. Aphra than a few more GLs, or a few more relics. And I'd rather have Grand Inquisitor than some more of these relics. And you're going to see me get Cal Kestis pretty quickly rather than get additional relics, because that's where my Kairos are going. And I'm doing these farms very quickly. I'm refreshing a lot. Now, Gear 11 plus units, this is where I have a little bit more of a strength and my opponent is a little bit shallower, but nobody's really shallow at this point in Kyber 2. With the distribution here, my opponent, nothing scary, kind of just a beefed up version of where my distribution is. Only a few more tier 8s, 1 more tier 9, a few more tier 7s. Nothing that isn't manageable, and we've seen far scarier ones. It's the top heavy rosters that I look out for with mods. Now, overall, again, the mods are excellent, and there are actually some absurd mods in this bracket. Right here, you can see his name's cut off Elvin. Look at his top 500 average. An average of plus 19. I have never seen something that fast. That is outrageous. And then you look at the counts at 523, and then you'd think maybe it would be lower counts on the specific mods to beef up that average, but no. That is the most absurd that I've ever seen a mod set. And I've got good mods, but we're not anywhere. We're usually in like the top 3 or so, and I'm more middle of the pack in this bracket. But everyone's more bunched up than in some instances. Now, in terms of my opponent, I've got slight edges on the top 500. He has slight edge on the top 25. With the counts, we're pretty close. I have more, but he has perfectly good numbers. When it comes to Datacrons, my opponent's a little weaker. Don't be fooled by my level 9 number. I can't use a number of those. Like, I have a Sana level 9 Datacron right now. Can't use it. She's not at Relic 7. So I gave myself the option. I had the resources for it. We'll see whether or not I actually utilize some of these level 9 Datacrons. But while we were in the middle of it, I wanted to do the work to give myself options in the long run. Now, there are... my opponent, JCC, is the only opponent without Jabba. I am the only player in the bracket without Lord Vader. And everybody has everything else except there's one guy off screen who doesn't have a Rey. This is going to be a tough week for me. I will say one of the players who has Jabba doesn't have them at relics, but I probably won't be seeing that guy. Now, Malgus is here. Everybody's at Relic 7 or higher, and everyone has 2 Omis or more. My opponent has the Raddus Omi, the Iden Omi. His Iden's a little weaker, but that's fine with Iden. You can have a weak Iden. His Starkiller is Relic 5. No Ami on the dash. His Wampa is Relic 3, though. The Wampa should be Relic 5 minimum, and really is well deserving of high relics. Now, Savage, we are looking at a bracket that has 4 Savage Amis, which is 1 better than last week, but Savage should have an Omicron, even if he's not at Relic. It works at Gear 12. Traya Ami is better this week. We have 4 players with a Traya Ami. It was 3 last week. But again, just put that Omicron on. It's an excellent Omicron. This bracket, though, does have 4 players with Dr. Aphra, 4 without. Whereas last week, only 2 of us had Dr. Aphra. And we'll see what happens without the Datacron, but right now she can beat basically everything, at least in a 5v5 scenario. Qui-Gons and then Swolo. My opponent has him at Relic 5 with 2 of the Amis, and I forgot to put the Omicron on again. But I didn't do any gearing this week, during the off week. And then, 6-star Profundity like me, and everyone else... no, there's 3 of us at 6 stars, everyone else at 7 stars. Use the timestamps liberally, because this is actually like my 4th attempt at recording this, and I just can't make a shorter one, apparently. Now, my opponent is in a strong guild. Undersizes and clears are very low. Surprisingly low. Especially for a Kyber 2 player. That's a little weird. From his Grand Arena history, he had been winning a lot, maybe some no-shows, but that's very weird for an active player. The relics we looked at, we're going to just skim through most of this because we've already looked at most of this in other contexts. His gas is at 299, keep that in mind. Let's move on, we got to get going. Now, looking at his speeds in detail, we're not going to spend too much time here because his stuff is good. I think I looked at it earlier. I did a lot of prep work on this. He's got 22, if I'm remembering correctly. His dash is at 300, gas is at 299. So 22 characters. I forget how much I have offhand. I should write that down. But I've got in that range or slightly more. Let's just speed through this. I like to be doing battles at this point. So we do have a lot of changes with Datacrons. We're not going to look at the old set because those haven't changed, but I threw this on even though this is not activated. You can see the faded out dots, but maybe it'll trick my opponent if he's not paying too much attention that a lot of this Datacron is not activated. It just looks scarier than it is. If he wastes a good team up against it, that's a win. And we got Qui-Gon. This is the Dash Datacron I put on, which I forgot to put on last week. Little bit of health and protection recovery and some retribution. Malgus has the revive. Jabba has, I don't even remember. Back territory. I did get the Chupio Datacron. Why isn't that activated? What did I... Oh yeah, he's not at Relic 7 yet. Of course. He's not at Relic 7 yet. I do have the Chupio Datacron ready for when I do take him to Relic 7, but that is going to have to happen a little bit later, like next week. This is because I'm short on everything from going after all those projects recently. So Padme here. Chupio I'm going to do, though, because he's definitely worth the Relic 7. Like, San is a character I don't know if I really care that much. Maybe someday, but not for what it's going to amount to, like a month and a half of utility. Alright, so here's this guy's defense, and it's solid. It's pretty good. There's Nute. Let's check out the Datacrons. So we got turn meter, and this is redundant. Oh wait, no, never mind. I thought it was he takes a bonus turn when they defeat people. Seems like a better offensive one, or 5v5. Like, that's easily going to be countered for me. Padme, like, this is the type of scenario where even if you don't have a proper Datacron for it, just put one on. I mean, it looks like he just forgot to do it, because he doesn't have any of the new Datacron set, just the old one. So I think it's something he'll get around to. Bossk, Zam, Maul. Let's look at that one. That could be annoying. Down below, Rey, Starkiller, Qui-Gon, Malgus, CLS. But he did put on at least one new Datacron on Rey. It's probably a Resistance one. No, not even. Well, I guess it's only level 3, so it won't. Now, I did plan out a strategy earlier today because we're in Kyber 2 now, and it's time to do planning again. Actually, you know what I think I might do? I think I might start on most evenings, or most off-night evenings during Grand Arena when I'm preparing for my opponent. We might go on Twitch and take 30 minutes or so and just plan out Grand Arena. So if you want to see how I'm preparing for my opponents, we can do that. Maybe we'll do roster reviews, some small things. Keep it short, though. I'm going to maybe try for the same time on a few nights. We'll play it by ear, but maybe we'll organize some of that on Discord. And if I have more details for that, we'll talk more about it. But I think we'll keep it a little casual, at least for the short term. I don't want to fully commit to anything on Twitch at this point, at least time consuming wise. So I think I want to just Grand Arena prep is how I think I'm going to approach it. And then maybe we scale it up. So the plan is Starkiller up against Rey, JMK up against his Starkiller, Fifth Brother up against Qui-Gon. There's options up against Malgus. And the issue is he also has Maul in the upper territory. And Maul, some people like to do Nest. I don't like to do Nest when Bo is present because there's so much recovery that Bo gives. And it's not statistically a super great counter. And I don't really like to resort to it partly because I don't trust my Nest to win it. Maybe if I was at Relic 7, but I've had mixed results with it. I don't want to rely on it. So we're in a situation that we're looking at Maul or Gas then to be my Maul counter, but I want to use them up against Malgus, so we got choices to make, and that means do we use a GL up against one of them, but then what if there's a GL on that back wall, because most of this is the same as his history, but there's a few things that are different. Like, every one of these teams was there, but there was also a few more other teams that I saw on his back wall in some combination that changes. So he may have changed things a little bit. I think, though, we're going to use Dr. Aphra up against one of them because Dr. Aphra right now is awesome up against everything. And The win counts were low because most people aren't using Aphra up against those kinds of squads, but they are there and they're 100%. So I feel pretty good that she's going to do well up against one, but I think we're going to try and save her for the back wall just in case. And I think we're going to start top to bottom. We will start with Starkiller versus Rey and see how it goes. And I don't have presets yet for some of these newer... It's not even that new. I just hate managing presets. But really it would save me a ton of time. Alright, I need some stats. Didn't I have a... Yeah, okay. We'll get turn meter here and a bunch of other stats with this. Okay. We will... see if we can get a Shaak on Hondo so we don't have to worry about that taunt. Let's just see if we can do a little tenacity down. A stagger would be great. And now from here we're just going to do basics. That triggers one. Just need to be focused on Rey. Kind of want to trigger the other damage immunity. Come on, get it. Trigger it. Yes. Kind of just in time got that going. Let's do this. Great. You can see my being distracted by Hondo almost got me into trouble. So he's just being focused on Rey is important, but we're fine. Okay, Starkiller, we're gonna do JMK, but I don't think we need to do that yet. Let's do Malgus. I'd rather know if we need to be doing cleanups or not, and Starkiller, that's gonna be straightforward. I don't feel good about this. Maybe I should do Dr. Aphra here. Because the chances that this wins for me... Like, it's not great. Like, my gas loses up against Malgus plenty of times, and we've had to clean it up. And I like it much more in 5v5 than I do in 3v3. Let's actually see how this goes. Because I think the odds that my opponent... put a GL on the back wall is actually pretty low. And if it does happen, we will have JML. It's just, oh man, do I really want to do this? Alright, so I double checked the stats. It's about an 86% win rate, but the gas counter is a 75% win rate. And I don't trust it, and my JML would be about an 81% win rate. So it's still my best option. Well, I guess JMK would be arguably a better option, but I'm not going to use JMK that way. JMK would be in 98. So, I mean, do I want to do that? Because then Starkiller... See, Starkiller... I don't like to use JML. I guess there's a JML comp that works well, but it needs JKR and Yoda, and I don't like my JKR and Yoda. Let's do this. I think I want to know. I gotta assume that some percentage of the people who are losing up against this either don't have the Omicron or don't have the Datacron. I think I tweaked the mods on... I don't know. Alright, so we throw down Torture. I don't know how I feel about that at this point. I'd really like to take out everybody else. The camera does not want to stay focused today. Okay, armor shred, sure. And the torture stayed on nice and long. That's been nice. Right. Can we land Shaak on him? Okay, good. I would prefer him to not taunt. I would like to eliminate Darth Revan. Oh, that's right. He's not going to assist. That was kind of a waste. Okay, great. This is working good. I think I should have taken out Malgus or Malak first from that result. We'll bring him back soon. Next turn. Okay. Awesome. Great. Great. This is why I advocate so much. Just go after the new stuff quickly. Like, don't get distracted by, like, gear. You can always get gears. Sometimes having the advantage on having new things earlier than people is a big advantage. And you can see how much of this bracket didn't have Dr. Aphra. Alright. Just going to take this out quick with JMK. Anything... I watched Mando just before this. I liked it more than episode 1. Although, I think I acknowledge that I think my opinion of episode 1 was a little tainted by how much I love Andor. I just felt like episode 1 was just kind of empty calories, like very plot heavy, nothing happened. Episode 2, a lot of fun. Only thing was, there was some clunky dialogue. I do kind of long for the days of season 1, though, where just small scale storytelling. Alright. Where's my Inquisitors at? 5th brother, and we're going to do 8th and 2nd. There's nothing special about this Datacron. Since when does 2nd sister not have her helmet? This is from the Fallen Order changes? Okay. I don't think it was all that necessary. Like, if you, for us older players, the clones used to all have their helmets, and it was impossible to tell who was who. Or they didn't have all their helmets. I forget how it was. It was, however it was, you couldn't tell who was who in the selection screen. Just like with the Jawas, you can't tell who's who. I think I was going to say that there's nothing special about the 8th brother Datacron. I just... the refreshes got too expensive while I was trying to get the Grand Inquisitor Datacron. Yeah, let's get protection up. Yeah, we got damage immunity, which is nice. Let's get armor shred and stuff. Wish we could stun him, but we used up the purge. Awesome. Okay. Great. Fun. That's one thing, at least while the Datacrons are active, that Qui-Gon no longer is annoying for me. And we are going to do a solo. Yeah, that's it. And why Relic 5 is nice with Savages. He can solo plenty of teams. I would not attempt CLS below Relic 5. Let's go for Chupio. He's the annoying one. And CLS is just going to heal. Okay, if he doesn't heal up any, perfect. It's gone. And we can auto from here. And we probably could have autoed the whole time, but I didn't feel like it. This is getting a little scary. All right, almost. Stop it, CLS. I'm a little concerned. This is a really good CLS. Okay. This might be a timeout. I'd like to get my Savage up to higher relics anyway. Oh, right there. Come on. So close. So close. Come on. Come on. Just give me that RNG. Give it to me. No. Come on, come on, come on. I guess let's talk about some other stuff. I'm contemplating doing a rewatch of The Last Kingdom because the Netflix is going to have a movie come out for it in April, and I really like that show. I think I watched it. I don't know, COVID's throwing things off. Maybe I feel like I watched it close to the beginning of COVID. Whenever I watched it, it was fantastic. I really liked it. And I think enough time has passed where I can watch it again. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on. This is the one tough thing. The reason why this is struggling is because when he... Yes! When Silas dispels, he's removing the stacks of resilient defense, which is preventing my Savage from increasing the damage output. Okay. That's one... It's not just that the damage output needs to be high enough for Savage in order to take Silas, which is why the Relic 5 matters. Silas can take out Savage if he's below Relic 5. It's not a timeout issue, it's just a lose issue. Alright, we got Shakti, we got Mon Mothma, Ackbar, Iden, Phasma. Oh no, all these teams are in the grand. I think I thought there were fewer teams. That's 5v5. Okay. Yeah, we're prepared for everything here. We're gonna be fine. We are gonna test out at least Tuskens, and see, the thing is, we could do Tuskens up against Mon Mothma, but we know it works. What if we did Tuskens up against somebody else? And here's the crazy thought I'm having. How about Tuskens up against Ackbar? Let's do it. Let's have some fun. I think it's going to work. Double Omis. I've always... See, here's the only issue. I don't remember exactly what the double Omis does. I think it does stuff with cooldown and healing and all that. So this might be very dumb. Let's just read it. These double Omis are nice, and that's something I would like to do. Okay, so start of the battle, tenacity up. Buff expires, an ally's buff expires the turn meter. So there's going to be a loop going on, but I'm less concerned about the loop because the Tuskens can negate that. And there's a cooldown thing. Not an issue. This is why I think Tuskens can win. Let's double check what Leia can do. It's on the unique, yeah. Okay, so she attacks. Grant retribution to everybody. And tenacity up. We're fine. Tuskens will beat this. Love you, Tuskens. Let's... Wait, we almost made a crucial error. We have to use Tusken Raider. Okay. Now we're good. And they're going to... Scarif is not who you want for this. Okay. Because what's going to happen with the mechanics is they're going to bring up the stacks of momentum and then they're going to get stunned. Oh, you know the one thing I am concerned about? No, I think we'll be okay. I think just taking out Scarif is going to be a major pain. Because he's going to have buffs a lot. I think we might need an auto for this. I mean, we're almost definitely going to have to auto. But here's what I was saying, like with how the momentum works. These guys are going to be stunned all the time. I'm not concerned about them. Getting around this taunt is the thing I'm concerned about. God, if we could take him out before he gets a buff. Okay. If these guys were at relics, we would be ripping this apart. Awesome. Yeah. Tuskens, I love you. As I've stated here in the past, Tuskens were somewhat oddly, as a kid, one of my favorite characters. I love the Tusken Raiders. Also Greedo. And Rodian sighting in Mando. Alright, awesome. Awesome, Tuskens. I think I'm going to make a video on the Tuskens. Okay. My only concern is we got Wampa for either of Mon Mothma or Iden. At least they're not like the worst case scenarios. Like we can use Vader, and we have things we can use. See, this is the difference that planning in advance can make. Although you've seen me have plans before and them go wildly out of control. All right, we're gonna. At this point, we could do JML. There's really nothing stopping us. Like looking at these teams, let's just do JML. Because it's still going to be really annoying. Let's maybe do this version. No. I'm thinking about keeping Hermit Yoda and Jedi Knight Luke for... Maybe we'll do Jedi Knight Luke solo up against Phasma is all I'm thinking. So maybe we do Hermit Yoda and Old Ben. Actually, you know what? Let's not do even that. See, what I would like to do is... It would be nice to do something like Traya, but I don't know if a Gear 12 Traya is going to win. It's the Maul, the stacking Maul that I'm most concerned about. Because Traya has like a real nice win rate. Let's just do it. We can afford to lose something. I want to know. That should be fine. It's fine. We didn't get too much help there. I think I messed, you know where I messed up? Doing the debuff on Scion when I did. Don't you die. Okay. We're going to have to clean it up. See, I don't know if this just was always going to be the result. Maybe we'll still get through it. Okay, we'll still get through it. I think Nihilist lead may have just crushed it too. But taunting early with Scion, I think, messed things up because them attacking Nihilist makes Nihilist stronger. Alright. We're fine. I'm feeling crazy. See, I want to go up against this Dash team with Hondo, and I've had great results up against Dash with Hondo, but this is the best Dash team I'm gonna face. But I still want to do it because I want to see just how high or how well this counter can work. I just don't like that it's low banners. Not that I'm a huge banners player, but ooh, that's not good. Awesome. The stunning is way more a problem than it's been in the past. Yeah, okay. See, the last versions we played was a Vandor and L3 version. They weren't at relics, but I really think it's Quill that made the difference. It's all those extra stuns. Okay. Now we'll just JML that. Technically, we could just JKR it. Maybe let's JKR it. Because maybe we can do like a JML solo at some point, make up some banners. And there's some sort of tenacity. Here we go. Let's take that in. Okay. Let's mark buffs. I don't have strategic advantage, so I'm ignoring IG-11 for now because he has retribution. But he's got foresight. We would have been fine. Okay. More stacking protection because of the tenacity up thing with the Datacron, and he's gone. Yeah. I don't know, I just kind of wanted Hondo to work. Yeah, but if you like swords and sandals, watch Last Kingdom. Here's what Last Kingdom. I've been kind of thinking about talking about some of this stuff about this genre. These like pseudo histories where they take real historical figures, but they kind of and real historical events, but they mess with the timeline. And there's a few shows that do this. Last Kingdom is made on a book, but there are a number of like it's actual kings and queens and Vikings, actual Saxons who were there, but there's one fictional character that is the point of view character. It also messes with the timeline of events. Like, there is an Uhtred, but that Uhtred existed hundreds of years after the time place of this show, and some of these other characters went into place. But I wanted to bring up this like pseudo genre because of pirates, because I was talking about pirates in a previous Grand Arena video because of how pirates are depicted within Star Wars. But I was just started thinking a little bit about Black Sails, that show that I think was on Stars, which does a similar thing, where it's taking all these actual historical pirates, but also mixing them in with fictional pirates like from Treasure Island, and then creating this pseudo-history that mixes in real events with fictional events and tells the story, and it's fun and I like it. And then the History Channel show Vikings does a similar thing, where it's that blend between the real and not that I think is just a good entry point. I think it's good. It'll confuse some people and maybe misinform some people, but I like it. All right, what am I doing here? Well, the whole point of doing some of this was so I could have Jedi Knight Luke and get a solo. Stats. I don't think that's... Sure, that'll do something. Let's talk basketball. So the crazy things going on right now is everything going on with Ja Morant. Now, one of the things I've talked about in the past is how I play fantasy basketball. I have been in a long-going keeper league where you can keep 4 players, and if you have drafted the player, you get to keep them for an extra. We're not going to get into all the mechanics. Nobody cares about hearing about other people's fantasy stuff. But I drafted Ja as a rookie, so I have had control of him over this entire time. I was eliminated from the playoffs in the last week, and you know what? I'm happy about it, because if I was in the playoffs right now and having to deal with this Ja situation, I would not be happy. To be eliminated makes it just all easier to swallow. I think I need to be paying attention to what's going on. So I really need to take out you, but I'm concerned that maybe I can't do it in the order I would like. Do I need to take out you first, Kylo? I don't think this is going to work. You're kidding me? All right, we're done with solos. Let's be serious and get this over with. You know, I feel like Tuskens would have been vulnerable to Phasma. All right, what are we doing here? We got Malak. We're not done with solos. Let's do Malak. Oh, we have Grand Inquisitor. Where are we going to use Grand Inquisitor? Yeah. For you basketball fans, here's my keepers for next season. At least who I'm thinking about right now prior to free agency and the draft. Evan Mobley, Jalen Williams, Jabari Smith Jr., and I'm thinking Nick Claxton, but I got options for that final spot. Alright, let's get rid of that. Give me a drain life. Come on. Let's get this done. Alright, that should be it. I love solos. It's a problem how much I love solos. I do have that. I think it was I made it a list video on characters who can solo. They probably should update that because we got new characters who can do it. All right, what do we want to do here? This one, do we want to just do gas? If I had relics on my troopers, we'd do it. You've seen me do it with troopers, but it's not super reliable. And with the Datacron and Relic 8 on Dooku, I don't like it. I gotta think about the Iden Mon Mothma situation. Because we can do Wampa up against one, but do I need gas for one of the others? Because worst case scenario, we can use... Well, you know what? No, what am I talking about? What am I talking about? Yeah, we're going to do gas up against Nute. What we do is probably Bad Batch up against Iden. Because I'm slightly less... Maybe we do Bad Batch up against Mon Mothma. We do Troop Bad Batch? I think we're going to do it, just because without Kyle Katarn there, I'm less concerned about it. My only issue is these guys are... it's just the damage output. Would I rather do this up against Iden, though? Iden, though, I think I'd rather do Bad Batch. Let's just do it. Okay. I gotta get that daze down. No, I hate it. This is why I wasn't feeling good about it. Okay. No, this isn't going to work. Alright, we're done. Yeah. No, this is why... That right there is why I want relics on my Dark Trooper, and I've wanted it for a very long time. Okay. Let's stop goofing around. Alright. I can't be doing this, because this opponent... Yeah, let's do that. It's also late and I would like to be done. It's just that Iden team, I'm going to have to risk my bad batch, but my bad batch are gear 11. And I don't trust... I trust them more in a cleanup scenario than off the start. And maybe if Death Trooper wasn't there. Because if it was like a shore and... a shore and Stormtrooper situation, that I'd feel more comfortable with it. But Death Trooper could just use his special... use Death Mark and take out my bad batch. And Iden's going to be starting with turn meter. But I think I do need to resort to it. You know what? No. I do also have Grand Inquisitor, which I'm seemingly keep forgetting. I really wanted to see what the Bad Batch do, though. Let's do it anyway. This is dumb. Let's check his mods. It doesn't really matter too much because he starts with full turn meter. But it will matter after that. 289. They're fine. Oh, I want to do it. I just can't help myself. See, sometimes I play to see what will happen. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. The stuff you did with Echo was what was not fine. We don't need to swap, so let's do this. Okay, fine. You don't want me to attack other people? We'll go over here. We want tech. We want tech. Okay, we got that undispellable buff immunity now. Can this... Can't be... I got the days, so it's not going to work, so we're going to go for tech. I'm very concerned. At gear 12, we're winning this. They're going to get faster and faster. Come on. I want to take out... Can I just give me somebody? Let me take him out. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yes. Okay. See, now I'm happy again. We got stressed about it. We deliberated. We're going to get through it. Really, we should see what's nice about this. I mean, I guess it was like a weak Iden, but Iden's real. The gear on Iden's really not that important. It would make her faster, but it makes me more confident that we can try this counter more often than we do it. Especially in a 3v3 context. Because 5v5, I'm more comfortable with it, because you have a tank. Awesome. Okay, all that so that I can comfortably use gas elsewhere. I still have JM. Why am I playing like this? Like, I mean, I know this is how I play, but we're not in Kyber 3 anymore. Like, it's one thing to play like this in Kyber 3. But I don't have the buffer here in Kyber 2. Like, this opponent's gonna... Did he put 1 GL on defense? He's gonna just crush my defense. Maybe? What? I don't know what I want to do. Let's do this. See, that Troopers was a safe counter at the right gear level. I just was nowhere near the right gear level. It also would have been a safe counter in 5v5. Are we just going to jam out this now? You know what? Let's JTR, because JTR is fun. So JTR is one of the teams I'm thinking about using Cal Kestis on in 5v5, not in 3v3. Because we could add in Scavray and then do Cal Kestis, and then we got 4 unaligned force users in that squad. Couple resistance. There's enough synergy there where I think it's a very interesting squad. I talked about that in the Cal Kestis video. And there's also a speed down mechanic with Cal Kestis that JTR is going to work well with, where he stuns if they already had speed down. So having another character who applies speed down is going to have some benefit. So until Sir Junda joins the game, I don't know if I want to use him with Starkiller, because at low stars, I don't know how much that makes sense. I think JTR will make a good temporary home. if you're not a Rey player. As I am not. I'm looking at the wrong set. Yeah, this is a good set. Debuffs with health damage. Even though it's just a level 3 ability, I'm fine with it. Swolo's a ton of fun, because even though JTR and R2 need to respect this taunt, Swolo don't. But I need to get back under stealth, guys. This is not okay. No, not a lot. Oh, come on. Guys. No. See, I prefer that JTR be left out in the open, because it's more important for Swolo to get turns, not to be controlled, to have ability block or stuns and stuff. Like, it's fine. We're not going to lose, but we would have won it faster. Swolo is so much fun. None of this matters. Let's do Grand Inquisitor. I really wanted my solo up against Phasma to work. Why am I playing this? Just auto. These guys are going to crush it. So I'm watching a bunch of Liam Neeson movies for some reason. They're not good movies. And there's a certain percentage where you can say that it is the fault of the script, because the scripts are awful. But I'm pretty sure I don't, and maybe a Star Wars related community is not the place to say this. I don't think Liam Neeson's a good actor. And I've thought this for a while. And what really triggered it was Batman Begins. Because in Batman Begins, there's this really odd and bad line read that's always annoyed me. Almost to the degree where I don't even watch the movie because it annoys me so much. It's near the end of the movie where they're on the elevated train, and Liam Neeson says, "I see you took my advice." Oh, let me get the line right. I see you took my advice about theatrics quite literally. Like, he does like this weird head shake where he takes a beat before he says it, and it is awful. I hate it. It's a terrible choice. But I will concede he has a certain charm, because even though he's making these terrible movies, I enjoy watching them, which is not true with other people who have tried to make these, like especially like all those really bad action movies that Netflix puts out, that a lot of them are kind of unwatchable. Liam Neeson makes it much easier to watch a bad movie. Maybe it's his commitment to it or something. Just like he does these like straight to video movies, for lack of a better word, that are just fun to watch. But it's like that level of movie that he keeps doing. He also does a ton of movies. It's like kind of bizarre how many movies he makes. How many of the same movie he makes. Alright, let's get to Fleet. All of this is a long-winded way of saying I have not caught up with Bad Batch. Oh, that's right. Okay, so we're going to have to try some stuff here. Because he puts Profundity on defense. But it's only a 5-star Hyena Bomber. So the thing is, I think we're going to do Scythe up against Profundity, and it is very RNG dependent. It might not go well. But the reason I want to do that is there's just so few Executors in my Fleet arena that I'm not comfortable with Scythe up against Executor, and what do I think the success rate is. Plus, it's a 6-star Profundity. So I think we're going to start with that, though. And this can go poorly. And I should say that we don't have... Well, one, the CG changed the mechanics so it doesn't work the same way that it did before when it was more reliable. But also, I don't have all the same ships. Like, I don't have TIE Bomber. And it's because I want to split up... Oh, that's the wrong pilot. Let's not do that. Which I have done several times before. I want to split up my Empire fleets, and this is how I like to do it. But I have used this regularly in my Fleet arena, and it wins sometime. It wins, I don't know, 50% of the time. It's not in that range where I would want to do this, but otherwise, like, it's our best shot other than using the Profundity. On the plus side, it means he's going to have a much harder time getting through my Fleet defense. Okay, so they're going to hit my Scythe, and if I lose it, it's over. Okay, we're good. Doesn't mean we've won, but it means we got a match. Alright, we got our stacks of formation going. Now we can start doing some damage. We're going to land a buff immunity. We're not going to get distracted. We just want to take this guy out, because otherwise we got to deal with a taunt. No, leave him alone. No. Stop it. Oh, don't you dare do it. Okay, stay alive. We can lose it and still win. But the earlier we lose it, the worse worse things will go. That's not great. Okay, now things get easier because we bring out the TIE Defender. We're not doing any damage, and this is very concerning to me. Usually I'm through the Y-Wing by this point. Maybe I need to attack something else. Don't... This is not going well. This is going really poorly. Oh, man. I don't know if we can win at this point. But maybe we can, if we got to take out something. No, we've lost. See, that's the... Oh, come on. Alright, we don't have a way to win this now. You know what? I should have went up against the Executor because the Malevolence would have been able to come in as a cleanup fleet. And probably would have done okay. Because that's a terrible result right there. But do I have anything that can handle the Malevolence? If I don't use the Malevolence here... Raven's Claw is useless. Just, what do I have a better chance of picking apart? What can I do? Let's... This is dumb. Let's try Raven's Claw here. No, we can't full clear now. I needed that to work. I think if I would have switched over to Biggs, we could have gotten through it. But we still would have been stuck with a Y-Wing. I just wasn't making any damage on the Y-Wing. I need to add relics to those pilots is what I really need to do. I need a relic Executrix. I need relics on Iden. Alright, Raven's Claw, Biston, Biggs, Phantom, and Wedge. I have no idea what this is going to do. I've never done this. Let's... For science. It is a weaker hyena, though. Maybe we get a... Oh, that was a mistake. Don't leave him alone. Yeah, we're just going to lose him right away. Let's try and keep him alive. AoE, remove turn meter. And inflict daze. Well, yeah, let's just do it over here. He's got the more turn meter. But I'd like to stay focused on Hyena Bomber. Yes! That's terrible. Okay, let me think. Here's an idea. Maybe this is a bad idea. It's just I feel like if we don't do this, we're just going to lose anyway. We're going to bring out Wedge. We can land buff immunity, which means we can take out Spy. Except we have a taunt now to deal with. So I didn't consider that because it's almost 1 a.m. And there goes Raven's Claw, so now we can't do anything. But we can take out Sunfeck. Okay, we can pick that apart at least. That's in a winnable condition, which means our Malevolence can be used elsewhere. I'm going to try and bring my Malevolence in as a reinforcement, which means I want to mess up the cooldowns. Which I guess is a legitimate strategy that I absolutely can do. But I should probably look up and remind myself how to do it, because it's been a long time. But I'm not going to do that, because it is 1 a.m. The thing is, I could bring in Mace and do it. Like, Scimitar? Yeah. I would love to bring Executrix or Tarkin to a lot of the pilots to relics, but I want Cal Kestis. And I only got so many Kairos. All right. I hope I remember how to do this. I may have already done it wrong. Sure. I don't know. We just got to bring out Spy. But is it Ebon Hawk first? Or is it Spy? I think it's Spy first. I don't remember. I think it's spy first. Come on, man. He's going to heal up. And I don't want you to taunt, so I'm just going to target you. Fine. Fine. Okay, Ebon Hawk, it's your time to shine. Okay, that'll get rid of at least that's happened. Fine. I'm not in love with it, but fine. I don't want to get rid of the buzz droids. We're going to do a basic. Although that's probably a bad idea because I could have used a vulture droid. And it doesn't matter. Okay. I know I misplayed that, but I gotta remind myself about that. I wasn't expecting to have to rely on that. Who puts both those on defense? We might actually get through this though, if I can beat this with some Gear 11 pilots. Because that Cad Bane is weak right now. Or was weak. Okay. Let's turn meter. Let's do a big hit. Sure. We're going to put this here on Houndstooth because he's going to taunt and I'm going to be forced to deal with him. Yeah, give him the turn meter. And he's got tenacity up. I don't think we can stun him right now. No, let's give it a shot. Yeah. That's not good. Awesome. Okay, that's progress. That is progress. Target lock. Okay. Okay. Fine. Alright, they got a little payout thing going on. What are we gonna do with that? Okay. Alright, that takes care of Cad Bane. Awesome. I cannot believe how well this is going for me. Like, I have no idea if I can actually win this. Because he's... Oh, okay. We can still do a decent amount of damage. We can get rid of the... Let's do turn meter. What happens if I do this again? Awesome. All right. Great. Okay, we got through it. We got through it. What do we have left? Okay. So I need the Profundity to win, and I need the Raddus. Raddus can do this. We're fine. It would have been nice to have remembered about the fleet sacrifice thing prior to my doing these attacks, but this is why I don't recommend playing after midnight. This is a win, I think. I don't think he can full clear me. Like, I don't see... He's got Negotiator, Empire. That's not promising. All right. We might not win. We might not have a chance. Because I need to take this out. Yeah, we've lost. We've lost. Yeah, I've got no way to win. I mean, maybe. Maybe. But I'm gonna need some help with the RNG on the assists, which I don't like. And I don't feel like we're getting. Now we wobble. I usually try not to even do it, because without getting the turn meter, it's kind of a waste of a turn. Don't die on me! No, see, he's getting much better RNG. Yeah, it's over right here. Yep. Let's just, we'll Raddus it. This should have been a full clear. We'll see how far my opponent gets, but he's going to be able to clear me more efficiently. He won't get through fleets, but he could probably tie me on fleets and do it in better banners. It's it was a well-played match that I kind of ran out of steam on. Or well-played at first that I ran out of steam on. And it's something that I need to be prepared for both Executor and Profundity next time. This will not be the last time we see this. There's definitely a way to full clear this guy that I just missed out on. Alright, we'll check back in with the results in the morning. And we sneak away with the win here. My defense locks it down, but we think back to the Hotbot results. It was pretty clear that his engagement was questionable with the very low number of undersizes and clears. In his recent Grand Arena history, that wasn't visible. He was participating. He was actually on a nice little win streak, but it looks like he was tripped up enough where he stopped. I feel like we got away with one here. He had the roster that if he knew the counters, he probably could have beat me more efficiently, or at least gotten 2 fleets and matched me on fleets. And then it would have come down to banners. Because with the fleet territory he set down, I don't think he would have been able to clear the fleet territory, but he still could have taken out 2 more efficiently than I took out his 2. So front territory, he one-shots all of that. In the top territory, we have Grievous tripping him up, Bounty Hunters tripping him up. He doesn't even attempt Sana, Again, this Datacron does not work. She's not high enough relic level, and neither are Rolo and Captain Han. But I threw it on there just to scare him, and I think maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. He didn't attack Cyan either. So at this point, he may have just been done. But I like to think that maybe this did its job. And then back here, Maul getting a hold, the rest of these teams going down. But he did save a lot of GLs for offense. I suspect that he's probably become a little reliant on those higher level counters, and once he had to go a little deeper into his roster, he got out of that comfort space and then was done. So we will wrap it up there. I'm going to work on the Sir Junda video, and we'll have that out probably around the same time that you guys are watching this, and we'll do a few more short videos in coming up, because I've got some ideas, and while I work on some of the longer ones, we can get some smaller things out. But thank you for watching. Be safe out there, everyone. Be excellent to each other. This is still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.